Let's go on to the next winner, Shreya Mundada. Congratulations, Shreya, for qualifying in
Thank
INMO.
you, sir.
What do you think, like, about the preparation strategies for students who are beginning their career in Olympia?
So I would say don't focus too much on the theory. If the problem solving alone can, the theory, even school math can possibly give interesting problems. So I would say focus on that initially, and then IQM will just be logic because IQM doesn't require that much theory. It's mostly logical.
Exactly. And for advanced contest, you will need some concepts. So please refer to those textbooks accordingly. So Shreya, when did you start your Olympiad preparation, and which grade you are in right
I'm in ninth, so I started my Olympiad preparation. Mostly last year, I did not give IQM. This was my first attempt. So after I cleared IQM, I started preparing seriously for the next levels.
now? Okay, okay, that's really great. Let's move on to the next winner, Nanda Govind. Hi,
Yes.
Nanda Govind. Congratulations on qualifying. I know. So I think you are senior, right? Like which grade you are in?
I'm in 11th right now.
11th grade. Okay. So can you talk about the things that you went through in your Olympiad journey so that it's helpful for everyone?
Okay. So I started my Olympiad journey in like the vacation between 10th and 11th. That is basically roughly 9 or 10 months back. So I guess one of the difficulties I faced was catching up with others from the get-go because as people have mentioned, they've studied for like 3, maybe 4 years now, a fair few of them. So for that, what I first started off with was when I initially started off, I started solving a lot of theory books rather than focusing on problems. And I quickly realized that was a mistake. So I actually had the fortune to get in connection with people who were actively working for Math Olympiad for a long period of time early on itself. I think Discord is a great community for that because there's a group for International Math Olympiad there. Along with AOPS, I solved a lot of questions from there. So IOQM phase, I ended up focusing more on AMC, AIME, HMMT, as others have already mentioned, those level of problems. And I didn't really look into the subjective questions because at that point, my goal was to qualify IOQM. And then following that, I started focusing more onto theory. So one of the advantages I had was that last year itself, I'd taken part in a ZIO and the computer Olympiad side of things. And there's a lot of combinatorics, algorithms, and graph theory type of questions that appeared. So I already had my fundamentals ready for combinatorics. So I started off with Olympiad combinatorics directly, and I ended up solving that through until just before INMO when I finished the book. Then, along with that, I think one of the things I realized soon was that geometry turned out to be a weak spot for me. That did bite me later, but I decided to focus not a lot of geometry until a month before INMO and just spent most of my time focusing on number theory, algebra, and combinatorics. And it helped me, especially in RMO, where I got all of the questions except the two geometry questions. And in INMO, I was able to solve uh, problems 2 and 3 and parts of 4, 5, and 6, but not focusing on geometry meant that the first question was I didn't solve that. I think for me, the journey was more like figure out where you're strong at. How can you get better at what you're good at? Because at the end, with the exception of this year, I would say that a lot of the times the questions that come are of a very high difficulty. I think a couple of people already mentioned this year RMO and INMO were on the easier side. So usually 2 questions or 3 questions would have like 2 questions would have got you through. This year, 3 questions was just shy. So I guess that was slightly unexpected, but I was still above the cutoff, even though I had focused more on solving questions rather than doing lots of questions quickly.
Great, Nanda Govind. So I still remember that during the classes, Nanda Govind gets excited when discussing combinatorics problems. So that's a good point that interest, if after all we do this for our own sake of interest, so concentrating on problems that make explore your interest should be the first preference, and then you can go ahead with the weaker topics. So preference wise, I would say the stronger one, then the weaker one. Stronger in the sense which makes you more interesting in that particular problem, which makes you involved in that particular problem. That's what I mean by the word strong. Also, we have another winner, Soham. Congratulations for qualifying INMO. So, Soham, can you share your journey with Cheenta and the Olympiad exams?
Okay, so like for the most part, it is just a recapitulation of what the others have said previously. It's very similar to them in that respect. But yeah, it's as like someone had mentioned, it's a gradual process. So even for me, it was similar. The only difference is that I started, I believe, 2 years ago. Like yeah, around at that point. Right now, I am like in grade 10. So again, the first year I did not make it through, and then the second year, like this year was like, and last year they also combined the RMO and the IOQM. So this year was like the first year that I actually gave an RMO exam and an like INMO exam. So in terms of the books and problem solving, like as it was discussed by some of the others over here, I like fully agree with whatever they have said. It's like for IOQM and IOQM is more about problem solving, and INMO and above is where the like some intricate theory and all of that comes in. But like all the books recommended, that pretty much like exhausts whatever list I had as well, so I wouldn't add to that. And as far as like other things go, yeah, it is like a continuous process, and like consistency was something that was like important. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Yeah, thank you, Soham. Thank you. Did you observe something that students are having a same characteristic over time almost? Like they give their first attempt around sixth or like in seventh standard, they start their Olympiad journey. And in their first attempt, they find it difficult. In the second attempt or the third attempt, they are able to come to INMO. The same characteristic is happening for the kids, right? So we can clearly understand that this is a gradual process, and IOQM is just a logical thinking based. You just need to good at problem solving, and the other all other higher books, higher contest require these books that would aid you, and as well as some coaching will keep you motivated in the process, because these things are not very trivial to humans. Also, we have one more award winner, that is Aharshi. So Aharshi qualified BMO2, but unfortunately he is not able to join. So please do remember that exams, whatever exams be, IIT JEE or Olympiad, are to motivate the winners and not to demotivate the less performers. So all these exams are reflections of theories of authors who created the problems. So do notice that, and you should stay motivated whatever happens, because your own thinking may not be aligned with the authors. So staying motivated is what we help as Chinta team, and would recommend you. And let's start the questionnaire from parents. You may raise your hands if you have queries related to. So I would also request the winners to stay till the end. We will be announcing the prizes at the last. So just stay tuned. And for now, let's go to the question from the parents. We have, or the students, even students can ask questions. So Shwastik Mishra.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask, like, I gave IOQM, and I'm preparing for it like from 2 to 3 years, from my own and from a local coaching. What I did was like I'm pretty good at solving subjective problems related to geometry and number theory. I could solve P1 and P4 IMO and some shortlisted IMOs and USAMO, INMO. But I don't know what is happening with me. But for IUQM, I could like stuck on that phase. What would you suggest to anyone? Like I think my pre-analysis has gone some strong, so I couldn't focus much on IUQM. And so, what anyone could suggest upon this problem?
Nandagovind, please go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things I realized was that exam pressure is a huge factor, regardless of which level you're going for, even IOQM, INMO, or even your school final exam, you're going to be pressured by the exam. And getting ahead of that pressure is important. This has been a problem for me in like other examinations. And I think one thing that I've done to work against this is IOQM is a 3 hour exam. If you have your own room at your house, you can tell your parents, you can close the door, sit 3 hours, put a timer, and just mock an IOQM exam paper. So just pick up one of the previous year IOQM papers, write the exam. Or maybe just compile like 2 AIMEs together, write a paper in like 3 hour sessions in over like the day. So just do one in the morning, one in the evening, sort of. And that sort of, yes, I can do it, or like getting used with the questions, getting used with that environment is really important. One of the things that you can try to do, though this doesn't always work, I had the benefit that IOQM, my center, turned out to be my own school. So I messaged the teachers there asking if I could come there for a day, like the week before IOQM. Went there, wrote it in one of the classrooms itself. So that gives a very, like when you go for IOQM a week later, it's going to be fresh in your mind that, well, I was here, I mocked an exam like that just a week before. And like when you're doing it by yourself, you don't feel as pressured, but it also adapts you to the environment of like when you're going to actually write the exam. And I think that gives you a lot of clarity of mind. That lets you think freely. It makes you like, I guess it gives you the confidence that you need to be like, okay, I can clear it this time. Especially if you're repeat attempting an exam, then you might feel like, oh, I didn't get it last time. Will I get it this time? And you're going to be stressed over it. So I think if you have the experience of going there, writing, and being happy with how you did, or even if you didn't do that well, analyze once more and come back with, yes, I'm better prepared this time. You're going to feel a lot more confident about yourself, and you're going to believe that what you did is correct, or what you do is good.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Advait Sriram.
Yeah, so just wanted to know from people here if they underwent exams like GAS, Bhaskara, Aryabhatta, those kind of exams, or they have not gone through those journey.
So basically NMTC, right?
Yeah, NMTC, correct.
So I think participants who went through NMTC, can you please tell if you have went through NMTC? Like Abhinav, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I've been giving an NTC since fifth. It's a good exam.
Oh, okay. That's great.
So in what way those that will help into whatever you have accomplished? So is there a clear path from there to tune your brain to think in that perspective? So what are the advantages you see by getting that early understanding of those kind of problems, then getting into this kind of work?
Like if you do that kind of problems, then if you like them, if you have fun solving them, then that will give you more motivation to do maths further. And like it doesn't like affect you a lot because like it's just one exam. It cannot like change very much.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, true. I think NMTC can be written by students because it will help the students keep motivated. Writing exams has a lot of uses, not only for building your resume, but also to keep you motivated. And it also is something that is out of what we do as a regular problem solver. So I would also recommend to write NMTC. And we have Parav Pandit.
Hi, I have two questions. I have
Yeah, please go ahead.
a parent, so slightly different and humble question. Number one is all the great students here, do they focus only on maths, or how much do they spend time learning other subjects such as physics or chemistry or biology? Do they feel they are missing out and focused here, or how is it? That's my first question, and I'll ask second in a
Yeah,
moment.
that's a great question. I think that needs to be answered. Even I have that question. What about other subjects in your perspective? Yes, Soham, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically for me, I personally treat like all subjects equally in terms of their content, like whether it's ranging from your like languages to like humanities like history, civics, or which we which we have to learn at school anyways, to the sciences, which is like physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics. The only difference is that Olympiad mathematics, like in terms of its like sort of complexity and the amount of time required, it is like a bit more than our regular school mathematics. So what happens is that like when we usually end up planning stuff out, or in terms of what exams we write, yes, it is true that we do sway towards mathematics like much more than what we like sway towards the other subjects, whether they are in the capacity of like the school itself, or even in the other subjects if we are like attempting some other examinations, like those subjects also have equivalents of like mathematical olympiads for them. So but we try to keep it like balanced, because that, like one advantage it sort of breaks the monotony, and like it can also motivate us, and like at the end of the day like learning all of them equally is important too. So yeah,
Okay.
that's like my sort of perspective on it.
So in terms of physics, chemistry, or other subjects, all you as a student also gain good marks there.
uh, like in school examinations or
Yeah.
in olympiads?
In school exams, like you're studying school maths, you're plus studying Olympiad maths, plus you're studying other subjects of the school, and you attempt to do better in all subjects overall.
Like personally, I would say yes, because the thing is the sort of volume of the school subjects is not as much as like the amount of time we need to invest on Olympiads. So it is very much possible to balance both of them such that you can perform well in both areas. It is like, yeah, one thing is scoring full marks, that requires a bit of dedication on the school side as well. But
True.
otherwise, you can still like perform well, I would
Decent.
say.
Okay. Okay. And second question also is parent centric. Um, when you prepare for Olympiad and others, how much of this is asked by parents saying, "Hey, Soham or Swastik, can you please prepare? Can you please your time towards Olympiad? You have been playing a lot. Is that happens with you, or you are self-driven saying, I need to prepare. Let me keep my play aside for a moment." What is the general feeling of students you get here? I just want to make sure I'm not pushing my student
Yeah,
along.
yeah. A lot of raised hands. Yes, Shreya, go ahead.
Yes, for me at least, my mother does tell me to study for Olympiads. And the more or less, I have to balance out exactly what I will study, because even in Olympiads, I have to make sure that like geometry is my weak point. I don't like geometry that much, so I have to make sure that I don't only study combi, which is my favorite subject, and also study geometry. So that has more or less has to come from my part, but my parents to tell me to study.
And great. What about Krishya?
Yeah, sir. I'm personally mostly just self-driven. Just do it for the fun of it. And I actually, I my parents have to. Okay, so yeah, I'm mostly self-driven. I do it for like most of the day. And yeah, my parents don't really have anything to say to me apart from like go out, like actually go out to do something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We can understand. Soham, you want to say something?
Yeah, like I just like to add on to what Krishna said, it sometimes ends up being the opposite, because what happens is like if you're really into Olympiad mathematics, and it is like you would be self-driven. That is like sort of a given. And sometimes you end up spending too much time on Olympiad mathematics, and then the parents are like, "Yeah, you no, now that this is enough. You have to like go down and at least get some sort of exercise or like do some other stuff." But yeah, it's more like mostly like self-driven.
Understand.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like students feel self-driven. Actually, there is a lot of categories of students, I must say. Even
Yeah,
like,
just trying to
uh,
get generic numbers or trying to understand the students' psychology so that
hmm,
I can inspire my son better.
I see. I also like have like some students who only do good in mathematics and they do only the Olympiad and they do also good in Olympiad things. And some students do not do good in all the subjects and also do good in Olympiad mathematics. So it basically says that each and every one of us here has a different way of thinking in
Yeah,
the sense of this particular thing.
like it.
So orienting it towards the author's way of thinking of Olympiad is the key to get into Olympiad thing. Yes, Pranit, did you raise your hand? Oh, sorry. And next we have Shijishnu Sengupta.
Yeah, I have a generic question. Maybe you can also help me to get an answer, sir. So I
Yeah, yeah.
wanted to ask, I mean, which board you study in, does it have a bearing on your Olympiad performance? For example, people tend to say that if you're studying in ICSC, the pressure for ICSC, which is standard 10, is more than in CBSE. CBSE, the pressure increases when you go to grade 11 and grade 12. So does that have any bearing?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. Is any one of the winners? Yes, Nanda Govind, please go ahead.
I don't think that is true because I know a lot of different people who have qualified INMO this year or even unqualified RMO wrote INMO this year from across different boards and different grades. And I feel I think the core difference rather than CBSE, ICSE is students who go for integrated and students who actually have to focus on their school. I think that is going to have a more effect. That's going to have more of an effect rather than the board. So people who I know across different boards have performed almost equally, but people who have gone into integrated have had a lot more freedom. So I myself am an integrated student since 11th grade, and my teachers give me like complete freedom to focus on. So I'm a JE student, and my teachers have given me like complete freedom the last 2.5 months to focus on INMO and camp preparation, APMO camp preparation. And I think that free time I would not have gotten if I was in my previous school, which I was in until 10th. I'm a CBSE board student, by the way, before 10th and after 10th also I've continued in CBSE. And because of that, I genuinely feel the core difference is going to come in the integrated schooling rather than which board you're going for. So if you want to genuinely pursue Olympiad or even JE or any other competitive examination, I think that is going to be the differentiating factor. Like whether your teachers would be willing to give you that free time to focus on what you want to pursue rather than focusing on the generic schoolwork along with the countless projects and such that come along with it.
So when you say integrated, it's like a day boarding where the homework gets done in the school and you get all the free time you want in home, or
Not quite. So we go to class. So for my schooling system, we go to classes and we don't get any homework back, or we're not requested to do projects. Or if we are, we're given a very long period of time to do it. But in exchange, we also go to classes at other institutes for like JE and all. And those teachers have told me like I'm free to like not attend classes for a period of time so that I can focus on the Olympiad prep.
okay.
So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nanda Govind.
Thanks, Nanda Govind.
And
Yeah.
I think getting a free time is more important than the board in which the student is actually studying. So maybe if we can arrange the students talking to the school teachers and arranging some free time for the students is the best solution, is a good solution. Next we have Anjali G.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, my question was very similar to the previous question. Just wanted to add something to it. So in general, um, basically about the integrated schooling, I see that there is a problem of balance, right? So integrated schools are generally long hours. So typical schools will be 6 hours, 7 hours, but integrated schools typically tend to go for 10 hours, 11 hours. So I see that does it really take away from the students the freedom to kind of think, or try to solve problems on their own, and depend too much on the curriculum that is designed by the integrated school programs? So how does the student feel that which one, which and I understand that some students it could be one approach can be better than the other, but I just want to hear it out from some of you as to how do you try to balance your time.
Yeah. Soham, do you have some points here?
Okay, so I am actually not an integrated student, but I feel like I can still like sort of add something because of the like I am in ICSE and currently in grade 10. So like our board exams are going on right now. So the thing is, even in ICSE, for instance, there is a like requirement of a certain percentage of attendance, and even our school, ours like although officially it's like 6 hours, but like it goes on till 8 hours on most days. So what ends up happening is that eventually it's just going to boil down to what sort of agreement you can reach with like your respective teachers, because I know people in like integrated arrangements, as well as I know people in like regular schooling arrangements who basically have sort of an agreement with the like teachers or the school, like this is the amount of time I'll be able to commit and this is the amount of time I would need for myself, like according to their needs, and such that like they do not get exhausted, and as well as you can do the like Olympiad stuff like that you want to. So if that is settled, then like there should not be any like problem or like hassle otherwise.
Sure. So when you say free time, would it mean that taking off from the school and studying at home on your own, or it would still mean that you go to school and go with your own books and sit in some other room and study?
So for me, like I was allowed to do both. Like so, like the attendance criteria, as long as the school was like you can take this much amount of time, and mostly like they scheduled it in a way that like during the examinations, like our prelim exam actually sort of clashed with INMO the same week. So they allowed me to, and there was also this thing called INMO TC, which is like a training camp. So they allowed me to write it earlier and leave, and sort of like that. So and on some of the days they also allowed me to like take a holiday for like a short span of time. And
Okay.
some of the days like they allowed me to sit and do my own thing for like certain amount of time. So it really depends on the comfort. Like if you're comfortable with being in the school itself, and like you want to keep that sort of regularity, then yeah, like you could go ahead with that. Otherwise you could like take time at home depending on whatever agreement the school is willing to do.
Sure. And just on this, the same thing that you're saying, that when you say certain amount of time, I mean, can you provide us some sort of a tentative, inputs? What would that look like? It is like 20%, 30%, or how can I quantify it when we
So
say that?
for me, like if I talk about across the whole year, I would say it ended up being around like 20 days of leaves, uh, which is like above the whatever holidays and all,
You
which
can say a
will be,
month. Yeah, apart from the holidays that are there, you probably
yeah,
took 20 to 25 days leave.
yeah, around that much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
another
Shiva, yeah,
option.
go ahead.
Yeah, another option which you can go for is you can give it to NIS. If the school is clashing with Olympiad preparation or anything else which you want to do, you can go for NIS, where you don't have to go to school and directly you can give your boards for 10th and then 12th.
Oh, what is NIOS?
National Institute of Open Schooling.
Oh, I see. So that can be noted. Yeah, because that will help students to give some time for Olympiads. Okay, let's go to Aro Biranj. Aro Biranj.
Yeah, my simple question is, right? I mean, I think if I hear all these awardees, right? So they have put a lot of effort in last 2 3 years, and then after that they qualified for INMO, right? So my question is, how I mean, what is the recipe to crack INMO early?
INMO early. Krishiv, yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 or like more people have said, there is no strict recipe anyone can give you for like, because everyone's brains and everyone's process of learning will be different even if the end goal is the same. So there's no strict recipe. The only thing you can do is continue to solve problems and like get the improvement and get the change in the mindset that you want.
Exactly. Like I also think the same. The process actually takes time because this is something that is related to intellectual of a human, and math is just one pathway for that intellectual to grow. And if you want to tend to grow in that way, it we need to learn what our ancestors and what our previous mathematicians did, and they did for their whole life. A particular result is done for a whole life of their career, and we are trying to understand that and implement that in the problems that we are doing. So that will not be, of course, obvious, but it will take almost like 2 to 3 years to get Olympiad level of understanding and solving those problems. And definitely it is possible for 2 3 years, as these kids are also gave ivoqm in their first year and they found it difficult, which is very evident from their experiences. Yes, Nanda Govind, go ahead.
Okay, so I did not spend a very long time on Olympiad, as in, like, as I mentioned, it's been 10 months. So even then, it's quite a stretch. But I've spent a lot of time. So I think one important thing, if you're trying to do it over a short period of time, is you have to spend a lot of time every single day on Olympiad preparation from the get-go itself. And you're obviously going to be playing catch up. One other advantage I had was I did this in 11th grade. So I had a lot of math background, as in, like, I knew the fundamentals of trigonometry if I wanted to trick bash to a geometry question. Or because of my computer science background, I had a general understanding of everything up to an RMO level of combinatorics. So it gave me the freedom to focus on areas that I was initially weaker at. So is synthetic geometry, or if it comes to number theory, algebra. And I think it was very quickly about understanding what was your strong points, what was your weak points, how can you ensure you score all the marks that come into your stronger areas, and how do you ensure that you lose as little marks in the areas that you're weak at. And I think that's an important thing, that you first find what you're strong at, what you're weak at, and analyze consistently based on your exams, based on the mocks that you take. So if you're really trying to speed track it, you're going to take mocks on different levels at a consistent rate. So if you're looking at IOQM when it's like a month or two away, you're going to take IOQM mocks 3 hours a day, at least twice or thrice a week. At least that's what I was doing. I did 3 or 4 times a week at least, IOQM level mocks. And then you're going to analyze what you're going weak at, where you're weaker at, where you're stronger at, and figure out because at the end, IOQM, the cutoff was 11, if I remember correctly, for my state 11th graders. So if you just score like 3 or 4 5-markers, right, you're through. Or I'm not going to say that for future years. It could be that the paper turns out easier and you need high marks to clear it. But for this year, it was that way. And yeah, I think that is a core thing. You're going to need to ensure how do you score marks and how do you ensure you don't lose marks to silly mistakes, I think is a huge thing in IOQM. Then when you reach RMO, it's going to be about which subjects can you score in, like combinatorics or algebra. Can you ensure whatever question comes in combinatorics, you can get more than 15 marks in it? Because at the end, there are 6 questions. You need to roughly solve 2 to 3 in RMO. And if you can ensure that you solve 2 questions in combinatorics, if it comes like that, and 1 question in another subject, or if you can ensure that whichever subjects 2 questions come from, you can solve that, right? Then it's a huge step up already. Then I guess, yeah, this year it wasn't, as mentioned, INMO was on the easier side. But again, I think what I'm generally speaking is with respect to how questions are getting tougher in general, like regardless of which country you look at, which Olympiad you look at, questions have been tougher consistently. For example, IMO that you take from last year will be tougher than IMO you take 10 years back. There are exceptions here and there, but like, I think the important thing is you understand what would be expected to solve and you go through that and be dynamic with it. That is that if you look at the paper and you realize it's an easy paper, right? Like INMO 2024, you look at it, you go, for me, geometry doesn't click very intuitively. But I looked at problem 2 and I was like, okay, this is a fairly easy combinatorics question. And because combinatorics is my strongest zone. And I was like, okay, this works out quickly. And I look at problem 3, I'm like, this primitive root almost instantly kills it. Or like some topic in number theory instantly kills it. So I was like, okay, this is also easy. And I'm like, okay, I finished 2 questions in like an hour or so. And there's like 3.5 hours more. It's an easy paper. I will need to solve 3 or 4 questions. I think that's how I reacted to the paper. So I think look at the paper, understand what would be expected to clear it. And you need a lot of practice for that. And I think if you're trying to do it over a short period of time, you're going to need to practice a lot is the first thing. And
That's
understand the different things.
You have to ensure that you are practicing every day. I mean, literally, you need to like ensure that, I mean, make sure that you are doing at least like 1 or 2 problems every day. And like you should try. It's not that you should be able to solve. You should try 1 or 2 problems a day, like difficult problems. I mean, if you're preparing for IOQM, easier problems, say 5 problems or 6 problems a day. So that thorough practice will, even this works for long term. For shorter term, you need to increase that amount of problems, actually. But that might become unstable because in shorter period of time, the student might get demotivated. There is a high chance of that. So to keep them motivated, you need a peer group always. So for a short period of time, engaging the students in a peer group is a good idea. Okay, then we have Gaurav Bansal. Please go ahead.
Hi, my question is with respect to keeping a balance with respect to Olympiad exams and let's say other exams, let's say IIT JEE, right? So these days, foundation courses, say for IIT JEE, start as early as 9th grade, and these focus on all the 3 subjects: physics, chemistry, maths. And also, if one wants to prepare for say INMO or IMO, it requires its own preparation given the nature of the questions that come. I understand that preparing for Math Olympiad will help in preparing it for any other exam, let's say IIT JEE, right? But still, it's not possible to focus on both. Either one can go for IIT JEE foundation courses or say for Olympiad preparations. So anyone here face this situation, is having interest in both, and how they decided to choose one over the other, or whether they were able to pursue both? Can anyone please share their experience on this?
Yes, Nanda Govind, please go ahead.
I'm in 11th, so obviously there is IIT JEE, that's part of my life. I go for IIT JEE coachings and all of that. And I think the important thing is you can balance it as in that you're going to get downtime. Okay. So after an exam, after say INMO that happened in Jan 21st, the results, at least even tentative results, come out, I think mid-Feb, late Feb sort of timings. So I think like when there's 1 month gap, you catch up on the portions that you missed out. And once you have the tentative results, you'll know roughly whether you're going to qualify or not qualify, or like you might know that you're on the brink of qualifying. And when it comes to that, right, I think uh, between the time of an exam and the results of an exam, that's the time that you spend to catch up. And you don't lose a lot of portions in 2 months. Very often, even in JE coachings, the portions that is done in a period of 2 months, if you're dedicated and you can work without burning yourself out, which I think is very important. Don't burn yourself out trying to balance everything. But if you can do it without burning yourself out, you can push for another month. And then you get a bit of downtime in between the exams once you've caught up to your portions and you have time before the results come out. I think that is time that you can use to slightly strengthen your areas. And I think the important thing is you don't let yourself forget whole topics. Just if you need a break from Math Olympiad, because regardless of how interested anyone is in Math Olympiad, you're not going to push through 6 hours a day of Math Olympiad just solely. So after maybe 3 hours of solving a single question paper, you might want to take a break and say, look at chemistry, which I feel is very different from maths, as in like, if you're doing organic chemistry, you're going to need to remember a bunch of things. So I think that's less, you're not logically thinking, burning out your brain. Rather, it's just going to be more of reading and like just make notes. Or if you have hobbies like playing outside, I am an avid bookworm. So sometimes I take up a book and read it after mocking an exam. And I think just balancing yourself out so that you don't burn out, but also you don't forget JE concepts or Math Olympiad concepts is how you'd go about balancing both of those different topics, wherein you don't pick one over the other, but rather you allot free time based on priorities, as in like if INMO or some APM, like APMO is next week. So if that's like 3 days away, I'm not going to be studying for IIT JEE those 3 days. I will be focusing on that exam. But rather, if I have a JEE exam in a week and INMO got over 2 weeks back, I would spend most of my time on JEE examinations. And like if I have camp coming up for 1 month, I would be focusing on camp rather than on JEE exams. I think that is the important thing. You realize which is important right now at the moment, and you focus on that.
Thanks, Nan Govind. So you are saying that you are able to follow both the things in parallel, right? So one thing is, let's say when you have prepared for the Mathematics Olympiad, does that mean or did that help you in preparing for IIT JEE mathematics portion, or is it that once you have prepared for Mathematics Olympiad, the level of IIT JEE mathematics is maybe comparatively lesser and doesn't require much preparation? Any words on that?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both things. So, excuse me, are you familiar with portions in IIT JEE?
No.
Okay. Well, I think I'm not. Which grade is your
There is
child?
calculus. I think calculus is there in IIT JEE, which is not in Olympiads.
Not there in Olympiad. That being said, things like linear algebra, complex numbers, even fundamental parts of calculus, if you're using, because you can use calculus in Olympiads. So I think if you just go through that, I think Romania had a very interesting 12th grade paper, I think just a couple of days back. Anyways, check it out if you're fine. 2 of the questions are pure calculus. This is their Math Olympiad paper for 12th grade. Anyways, as I was saying, certain topics, for me, it was like complex numbers or matrices or things in general with linear algebra. Those turned out to be a lot easier for me because I studied them for Math Olympiad. But also other topics like conic sections, those are dealing with parabola, hyperbola, and all of them. We don't very often deal with them in Math Olympiad. And even if we do, it's in the geometry sense. not in the IITJ itself. So there I struggled because I was unable to. I didn't really know the concepts from Olympiad, but complex numbers, matrices, and all. I knew majority of the fundamental things. I sometimes knew better topics than what were taught to me at JE classes because I did Olympiad level maths. And I think to some extent it helps. Math Olympiad did help with physics and chemistry as well, especially physical chemistry and all, where my IOQM prep, which focused on being very quick at calculations, meant that physical chemistry calculations or physics, the kinematic calculations turned out to be a lot easier. I was solving questions faster. And I think that really helps there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Govind. I think that's it. So maintaining parallelly IIT and Olympiads, basically Nanda Govind is telling to work hard. You just need to balance all these things, the camp and the exams and the IIT. So work hard and try to get the things up by the deadline. You should also make sure that you do 1 or 2 problems every day, right? Yes, and I think one more doubt. I think the last one we will set it as Arihant Jha.
Hey, hi, this is Arihant's mom. My question is, he's in grade 5 and he's enrolled with level 3. So how many levels are there like for him to appear for the exam, and like how many years it takes for the candidate, to start preparing the last year question paper and all? Because I feel he's too young now to get into that examination. What is I just wanted to understand the overall concept, like for a 10-year child, how the journey should be to be competitive.
Yeah, that's really a good question. So actually, I should say the IOQM starts with 8th grade, but the preparation, the Olympiad preparation can start early. Like you can start from 5th standard or 5th grade so that the student can understand the terms of the IOQM papers,
Okay.
5th or 6th grade, and you can keep on working the past year papers, and there are millions of problems over there which are of IOQM level, and I think he will be interested to solve those because he's already into these things, and he will be interested to solve those, and that will be the driving force for him throughout his journey till the 8th standard.
Okay,
He
so
can give a lot of contest during that journey, like NMTC, and you can give Purple Comet. You can give, let's say, AMC 8 is there. You can give those exams.
okay.
So till that time, you can give those exams. Until after that, he will be prepared for this Olympiads, and he can just deal with these problems in a very clear
So
way.
he's at the right age to start off. Like he'll not burn out by the time exam will come or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the right time. So he should start slowly and not too much. Let's say five problems, or like even like, yeah, 5 problems per day would work. Simple problems like IOQM. Not now because he's in grade 3. Until he understands the terms of the
He's in
IOQM.
grade 5. He's in grade 5.
Oh, grade 5.
And he's in level 3 with
Oh,
Cheenta.
level.
Yeah, he's enrolled with Cheenta at level 3. So I just wanted to understand by what level he will be ready to appear for exam, and that's grade wise. He's at grade 5. He's 11
Yeah.
years.
Grade
10
grade
years,
wise,
sorry.
I think by grade 6 he can definitely start. He will definitely not be burnt out, and he is good to go with that. By grade 6 he can start solving these problems. Lot of tests are there. Yeah, Krishiv, go ahead.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a very good thing he's starting at such a young age, and it's probably like better to like very clearly understand all of the school concepts, school maths concepts, at least school maths as in like up till, let's say, if he's good like 8th 9th or something, like that is an ambitious goal, but still it's good. And it's very good that he's starting at a young age. I recently saw a post on UPS which was like, which is like years ago. It was like, I'm a 6th grader. What do I do? So like I saw this post, and some person like very encouraging post it was, and some person after it was like, oh, this is like India, ICSC, this, that, it's very burning out. And then like a lot of people were reacting with, he's starting at a young age, let's like encourage him instead of saying all of these things. It does not happen. And if you go slow, it's definitely possible. And like I think some, like you can request, like you can specially request, if you feel like it, you can specially request to HBCSC to be able to give the IOQM exam earlier, like yeah, in grade 7. So that's also a thing. But yeah, definitely go slow with it. It is like not a hurry when you're starting at such a young age. Yeah, that.
And let me announce the prizes that are to be distributed for the award winners. So we are going to give free access to the research program conducted at Cheenta. So we have a couple of research projects that are going on in Cheenta, and we are planning to give free access to the research program. So what is research? I mean, like if someone is curious about research programs at Cheenta, there is a separate thing in Cheenta's website for research. Please go through that. We have a particular research in pure mathematics going on in geometric group theory. So we will be learning few basic concepts from there. And as I told, mathematics is like ocean, and what you are seeing is just like a tributary of that, or the distributary of that. So there is a lot to see. You can join our research program for free now. And we are also giving books to the students. We will be sending out books to your address, and you can just give the address to the admin. They will be sending you the books. And third thing is, we are going to, like, we are willing to give you academic career mentoring. That is like what path to follow in order to embrace your area of interest, enhance your knowledge in that particular area. We can guide you through the process of related to academic. So these are the three contributions from our side of Cheenta. Again, we are really proud of all of you. Okay, students, all the best for your IMO TC camp, and for all others, just stay motivated and keep working, and one day you will also get a chance. And thank you all. Then we will stop here.